No, sir, I wouldn't say so. I think any alive, alert professor has political ideas and political convictions. Now, if he chooses to carry his personal convictions into the classroom, we aren't interested in him. As long as he keeps his political convictions to himself, and as long as they don't violate the law and the Constitution, we're not concerned about that. But the professor who carries his politics, his own politics, into the classroom is really in violation of the academic freedom of the student.
I think some research has to be done to develop new modes of transportation, probably of a rail form, but maybe air cushion trains or trains in pneumatic tubes. This is a challenge we have to accept and develop systems within the next 10 years.
What's the future of the bus of today as a rapid transit system or as a mass transit system?
I think today's type of bus should be conveyed to the museum and used as an example of how not to design buses. Most of them are noisy, uncomfortable, unattractive, and they don't always run to a very good time schedule. Let's say that they are the point of departure, and from what we have now, we go on to design better things.
During the past 6 years, while I have served first as Vice Chairman and more recently as Chairman of the Board of Regents of the University of Texas System, I have been required to devote more and more of my time and energy to the affairs of the university system as it has grown to its present eminence as one of the largest as well as one of the finest systems of higher education in the nation. My work for the university has been a labor of love, and I take great pride in the truly impressive things that we have been able to accomplish. However, it is now imperative that I relinquish my chairmanship to my successor in order that I may devote more of my time to my law practice and to my personal affairs. Accordingly, I hereby submit my resignation as chairman, effective at the adjournment of the Board of Regents' next meeting on March 12th. A new chairman and a vice chairman will be elected at that meeting. Notwithstanding my resignation as chairman, I intend to serve the remaining 4 years of my term as a member of the Board of Regents.
No, I was not a co-author of the bill, and let me add that there's no relationship whatsoever that I can see from my point of view, from the author's point of view, or from anybody on the Banks and Banking's point of view as a tie-in with the personal transactions that individual House members may have made. And I might also add that I've been most cooperative with SEC authorities. In fact, one of them comments that, Mr. Speaker, if you had any inside knowledge, you certainly didn't utilize it to any personal advantage. And I regret that I suffered a substantial loss in a personal transaction. But after all, you and I know that the salary that's paid House members does not compensate our families and our way of life. And it was a good faith purchase, a good faith investment. And I just hope that we can clear the matter up appropriately as possible.
What is your name, please?
Bruce Lewin.
Bruce, what is your feeling on the armband situation now?
I'm glad that they have it here because I think that all the kids should have their rights. And,
But you're not wearing one.
Well, I never did wear them, but I think that they should have their rights, and I'm glad that they can wear them now.
What is your name?
Elliot Morrison.
What are your feelings on the war and the armbands?
I'm very much opposed to the war, but I didn't feel like wearing an armband.
Why?
I'm not sure that that's the appropriate way to show or to do something about it.
Thank you. What is your name, please?
Herb Weiss.
Herb, what are your feelings?
Well, for me, the armband, they can wear it if they want to because it's their right, but for me, I don't feel it has any significance to any matters.
Thank you very much. These gentlemen pretty well express virtually everything we've heard at Hillcrest High this morning. We have seen a couple of armbands here and there, but it seems to be, well, now that it's over, what's to fight anymore? This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, during the week previous to the draft, I talked with a lot of clubs, and they told me if I was still available, they'd make me their number one. Now, I better restate this. I was surprised that 24 teams passed me up, but I was not disappointed to be with Dallas at all.
Have you talked to your family?
I've talked to my brothers. I haven't talked to my mother and father yet.
When you plan to see them?
This afternoon.
Now, you've got some good defensive linemen on the Cowboys. What, if you could outline your career in pro football, how would you state it? How many years would you like to play and things such as that?
Those are things that I don't think that I can anticipate. I think that I'll just like to play as long as I love the game.
On the phone yesterday, we had a humorous interlude and I asked you who you rooted for in the Super Bowl. Let's just say you went for your brother. How did Bubba impress you in the Super Bowl?
I thought he played a good game. I haven't seen Bubba play up to his potential yet. And I think as he gets older, he's getting better as he gets older.
In talking to Dwayne Thomas a few minutes ago, he said that, take my word for it, Bubba is fast. How do you compare in speed with your brother?
Well, he'll argue this. I think I can beat him. I have beat him. I beat him last time we raced. I beat him about 2 yards, a yard or so. He said something was the matter with him. He was overweight or something. I don't know.
What do you weigh now?
250.
What would you like to play at?
250.
Doctor, we are not accustomed to seeing such, what is the word, bitter documents coming from a group of religious men. What prompted this sort of thing?
Well, I hope it's not altogether bitter, but it has some compassion with it also. I think that the reason why it sounds somewhat bitter, because we have felt for some time that the Hispanic Americans have not been given the priority that we deserve in the program of the church. And this document is attempting to alert the church at large to the kinds of needs that need to be known and implemented.
Well, you're asking the church to provide more than $1 million. What for?
Well, there's a series of proposals that we have prepared. One has to do with education, another one has to do with housing, another one has to do with the kinds of services that need to be rendered to the barrio, you know, the Spanish ghetto.
The neighborhood, yes.
Yes. Another one has to do in the area of health and education and so forth.
Visibility up here is now very limited. We're right in the middle of what you might call a very good blizzard. Highways in our region are extremely slippery. Lots of accidents being reported right now. Visibility is down to 1 block in the city. It's currently about 4 degrees above zero. Northwest winds at 17 miles an hour, gusting to 25 miles an hour. Snow began this morning at 4 o'clock. We now have about 3 inches of new snow on the ground, and 5 inches more is forecast to come. The snow itself is not as bad as it could be. It's a light powder instead of a thick, heavy sludge-type snow. So we expect to be able to clean up very quickly after the storm is over. However, it is projected to snow for at least another 12 to 24 hours. Ken Kalish, KDAL, Duluth.
What is your name, please?
Sherry Mitchell,
Sherry, why are you wearing this armband this morning?
because I'm protesting the war in Vietnam.
Do you know what you're protesting?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel very strongly about it?
Well, I feel strongly, not very strongly.
All right, thank you very much. How about you, young lady? What is your name?
Peggy Flaxman.
Peggy, you're not wearing an armband. Why?
I don't think you need a symbol like that to express your feelings of peace. I think something should be done about it, more than just a symbol.
What about you? What is your name?
Jerry Watson.
Jerry, what's your feeling? I notice you're not wearing an armband.
Well, I feel that you don't have to wear one to symbolize your feelings in the war in Vietnam.
Do you feel armbands will be in a minority today?
Yes, I do.
This whole thing about we don't know. We don't have the answers. We can't give you the answers. We'll look it up. That's an old hat. That's a game they played years ago. Right now, I think people demand answers now.
If this is a federal government subsidized apartment complex and they have the zoning from the city, which they do have, granted in 1965, offhand I can't say of anything that I as a councilman or you as a citizen can stop it. I think we can sure give it one heck of a try if this is going to be the case.
I tell you, I never saw the people in my district so upset in all my life as they are about this. We've been on it all day, and you know what's interesting? There were people here from San Antonio and Houston that have the same problem, and this thing I just picked up on the wire service is interesting. From San Antonio, they're building a low-rent apartment complex. It said they have a protest down there of this $1,800,000 because it's going to lead to lower property values, and it'll create a burden on the schools in the area. And you know that is exactly what the people in Irving were saying out there today. These neighbors want to have an area of contemporary citizens, and they build the apartments on a quality basis, but it's an appeal to a low-income group, and it's going to crowd them up. And it's a neighborhood out there of people with small children. The schools are going to be crowded. They asked me what I suggested, and I told them they needed to talk to Vernon and James Smith. They're big builders in our community, very successful, very wealthy, and I understand they have 6 projects going on now. And the easy solution and the best solution would be if Vernon and James would just change this over from this type of a project and just make it a normal, conventional apartment type of a project.
We are certainly going to have to rebut the testimony they've given. We're going to be working over this weekend, including tonight and through Monday, because the witnesses he's produced, 5 in number as a matter of fact, absolutely and positively place the accused in Livingston, Texas on the night of and at the time of the shooting of Mr. Travis.
I understand there have been some threats against some of the state's witnesses. Is this true?
Yes, this is most certainly true. They have been threatened by I would rather not reveal who they are, but some of the state's witnesses have been threatened with violence and death, and this started some weeks ago, as a matter of fact. Then it let up, and it's started again a couple days ago, and there was a threat received last night.
the Youth Council on Drugs and other things.
Well, as for being a political machine, it's sort of a unique political institution. The CCA, as you know, disbands every year after its elections attempts, and it's a very loosely organized group. We've got a tremendous amount of work ahead of us to get all those people together that have worked so well in the past. And as for being a machine, I wish it were a little better oiled at the present time. As for my qualifications, my background is in the newspaper business, and I have never been identified with any partisan political effort before. However, in the newspaper business, I have met and talked with and worked with people throughout the city of Dallas for a number of years, and I feel that this gives me a pretty good base for starting out in this effort.
Would the CCA consider backing an independent candidate with no strings attached?
Since my name was mentioned as a possible candidate for the presidency, I've had the opportunity to talk to people throughout the city, just citizens and CCA members. And they have expressed a strong sentiment that the CCA this year should nominate and support a candidate in each and every 11 positions for the council. I agree wholeheartedly with this approach, and I intend to recommend to the nominating committee and the executive committee that we field a good, hard-running candidate in every position.
This statement you've released today concerning the CCA's postcard drive apparently has upset you, at least, if not personally, at least in policy of a campaign. Will it affect your campaign at all?
It won't affect my campaign in the least. It doesn't really upset me, except to the extent that I think this is really a ploy. Let's face it, the grassroots meetings has nominated people to the council posts in the past, and the small group of executive committee, the real powers in the CCA, have passed over these suggestions and have nominated their own people. Well, who is to believe that the postcard situation isn't going to do the same thing? I just don't believe it's working real straight with the people.
The purpose is to try to give the people an opportunity to register. There's been quite a bit of confusion because of the Houston federal court decision, which knocked out our annual voter registration and the cutting off of registration in January. And this is an opportunity that will give the people a chance to register through the end of February. It's a convenience. It shows the trend. It shows the attitude of the people of Texas toward voter registration.
This legislature is going to have to deal with voting procedures on a long-range basis, too, during this session, isn't it?
Oh, yes. This is only for the year 1971. Beginning this week, this coming week, the Senate will start taking up a new voter registration system, and this legislature will do away with annual voter registration and give us some type of a renewal by voting registration.
In other words, if a person votes once every so many years, he automatically is registered again to continue voting.
Yes, my bill that I've introduced says that if he votes within a 4-year period, he's registered for the next 4-year period.
Have you polled other councilmen on the two-exit proposal?
Not formally. I have talked with most of the councilmen from time to time since we've been considering this matter, and for the most part, the majority of them seem to favor more than one entrance. I'm pretty sure the mayor feels the same way. That is, he's indicated to me that he feels the same way I feel on the requirement of at least a second entrance or exit in a different part of the building. And I should think that he means what he says.
With two previous presidential commissions not receiving exactly the best publicity following their findings, are you a little apprehensive going into this one?
Well, of course, this is a very highly sensitive and controversial area, as you know, and we have gathered together a very fine commission. The credentials of the people seem quite splendid. It's a divergent group, so we would expect some differences, I'm sure, on the commission itself, but hopefully we're going into it with the idea of making a constructive statement and going about our task with an open mind and with diligence.
As you go into this commission, have you got some preconceived ideas or notions about marijuana?
No, really don't. I'm aware of the governing laws, of course, but as far as any change in policy or whether there should be a change, I want to be as open-minded about it as I possibly can be and get all the information that I can and talk with the other members of the commission and get as many different views and then see if we can come up with a statement, and I intend to be educated along with everybody else.